I am an only child who grew up with my mother, father, and uncle, Dad's brother. My dad has always been extremely controlling, and his behavior is incredibly narcissistic and abusive. Some examples of this are getting in a screaming match with my uncle over him moving something that my dad actually moved and forgot about moving, and then trying to kick him out of the house, complaining whenever my mom cooked anything he didn't like for dinner and promptly belittling her for it. Same with watching TV shows he didn't like, attempting to ban us from doing things we loved, like teaching Sunday school for my mom, writing for me, and literally sleeping for my uncle if he wanted something done. Ignoring the discomfort and boundaries of others of the opposite sex when flirting with women 40 years younger than him and excusing it as just being me, which is why I never had friends over to sleep over. Putting on a good facade for company and then turning angry the minute they left. Threatening to kick people out of the house for behaving in ways he didn't agree with. You guys get the idea. Not to mention substance abuse on his end ramped all that up. Living that way for the entirety of my life was a challenge. As young as 12, I begged my mom to get a divorce, told counselors what was happening at home when I was in school, but because we didn't have much money and there was no physical abuse, door after door kept getting shut in my face as far as escaping goes. So from the time I was 16, it seemed to me that I had one mission in life: to stop him from hurting anyone else. From the age of 18, I began dealing with the mental health consequences of living with a man like that, building a network of friends, doctors, and therapists who have helped me to spot the errors in my thinking, realize what does and doesn't come from me, and to build my confidence. I made a few attempts to move out, even managing a few times, but circumstances always returned me back there either due to external factors or a simple lack of money. But I began to take what little control I did have in my life and began to gather evidence of his behavior. From voice recordings to making sure I time and date stamped incidents while messaging friends to taking videos of him using illegally when I got up the nerve. My uncle, who had essentially been my dad's servant for the entirety of his life, passed in 2023, and his role was subsequently passed on to me. And while I did not like my role, the opportunities to gather evidence while in it were not passed up, and I pushed onward with the belief that things would ultimately get better. I played the role he asked of me, and he never believed any differently. In January of this year, all of my hard work began to pay off with the extremely frightening news that in a fit of anger over my dog barking while he was trying to sleep and I was at a friend's barbecue, he put a knife in my mother's door without any care for who was on the other side. He was taken away and charged with criminal damage, but was allowed to return home. About 3 weeks later, I had an argument with him, and knowing that my own safety was certainly at risk, I left to couch surf between my two best friends' house with my dog. A lawyer in my mother's case contacted me and got me listed as a victim, which opened the door not only for my evidence to be taken into consideration, but for me to get an order of protection against my father. Upon that order being granted, I was given exclusive use of the house and care of my dog. At a hearing in April, I was at last given the chance to speak before a judge. My father had not seen me for 2 months at that point, during which time I had dyed my hair, upped my confidence, gotten a court look to match, and no longer had to hide myself from my father. I kept my eyes fixed on the state seal as he attempted to speak with me in the courtroom, and had to be told by a prosecutor not to try and make contact with me, for which she moved me from the courtroom. She did not realize, however, that he could still see me from my position in the courtroom, and he continued trying to look past her to see me. All of which the prosecutor reported to the judge, telling her it gave her the heebie-jeebies, which was by far the most vindicating moment of my life. Afterward, I got my chance to speak to the judge. I am very happy to say I looked that man in the eye the entire time I told my story, even with my voice shaking, did not shed one single tear, and my dad was standing right there the whole time. The judge ordered him an extra week in jail, and I got the legally blonde Elle Woods moment I had fantasized about for my entire life. As for my dad, the evidence against him was not anything he could refute, and he was sent to rehab where I'm told he'll remain by court order for the next 9 months of his life. As a human being, I can hope for him to change, but as someone who's been there for the entirety of it, I have very little faith that he will do so, and as a daughter, don't miss him in my life at all. I wake up every single day to a peaceful home where my dog feels happy, I am safe, and my mother can finally look forward to coming home from work for the first time in her life. Not all revenge stories end peacefully, but this one did, so I wanted to share it. To those of you who are in homes like the one I came from and are feeling that anxiety and depression, but are still desperate for change, this is your sign to not give up and to keep working to make your life better. It may take longer than you might wish, and it will be incredibly difficult, but it is so incredibly worth it. I wish you all the peaceful and happy lives you deserve.